Welcome to Hispanic Biz Success Stories. I'm Homero Galicia. We have the pleasure of interviewing Hispanic business owners who have built great businesses, and we learn great stories from them. Thank you for joining. Today, we're very fortunate to have with us a gentleman whose family has built a great business, Mr. Roy Chavez. Mr. Chavez, thank you so much for being with us. Mr. Chavez runs Permian Machinery Movers Inc. Here in El Paso. Mr. Chavez, what is Permian Machinery?
Good question, Mr. Galicia. Thank you for inviting me. Mr. Galicia, in Permian, we do forklifts. We sell them, we rent them, we fix them, we use them to move machines also. So we have trucks, haul them around, but mainly forklifts, Mr. Galicia.
How many years has Permian been in business?
Mr. Galicia, we've been in business for 42 years now.
Wow. And where are you located?
We're located, and we have 2 stores. We had 3 of them. We just sold one of them back in January. So we're in Odessa, Texas, and we're here in El Paso, 9270 Gateway East.
And how big are you? How many employees do you have?
Charlie said there's 42 employees in Odessa, and in El Paso we have 22.
And what store did you sell recently?
So we just sold a San Antonio store. My brother Raymond was running that one.
So 42 years ago, you were a kid. So how did the business start?
I said so I was 27. Before I came to El Paso, we were in Odessa. So I was, 22, and so we got invited to, start this business with Mr. Nani Smith, which helped us get the business started. He pushed us to get the business started.
Started here in El Paso?
In Odessa,
in
Texas.
Odessa. How did that start? How in the world did that start in Odessa?
So my father, worked for Nani Smith, driving trucks, delivering forklifts. And so he sold that business, and then this other young man, bought the business. It was going through some rough times with the oil business up and down. So my father's ex, boss, Nani Smith, told him, Raymond, why don't you start a business, give this guy some competition. So he came home, talked to my older brother, Robert, and, the whole family, and said, guys, let's go for it. Because my father initially was wanting to start like a gas station, company, oil changing, maybe some dump trucks, but we're glad we went with the forklift company.
So your father started the business?
My father and my oldest brother, Robert. My father from one.
So your father, where's your father from? Where was he born in?
My father was the Ojinaga.
Okay.
When he was young, he came in, they fixed the papers. My grandfather let some nice man a tire, and years later, they said, whenever you need a favor, years later, they met up probably at a bar at a grocery store, and they said, hey, I need a favor. We need to get papers. So for my family, I don't have the young man's name, the old man's name, but so that's how he came to United States, with a favor of my grandfather, letting somebody use the spare tire.
Wow. So where did he end up living?
Zaragoza, Texas It's in Texas. I don't know if you remember that tornado back in '82.
Yeah.
So we lived there before that tornado.
Because it wiped out the town.
Yes, sir. We were lucky that my relatives didn't get hurt on that deal, but unfortunately, there's a lot of people that went to heaven, but.
Wow. And then your family moved to Odessa?
So then we moved to Hereford.
Okay.
We went to Hereford. Well, my father used to work for Melvin May. It was farming, farming ranch, driving tractors, irrigating,
Okay. And your mother?
My mother's always been a housewife, always took care of her pollitos, like everybody else would say, Beta con sus pollitos,
Where'd she come from, your mother? Where was she born?
My mother was born in Valentine, Texas.
Yeah.
Pretty close to Marfa.
Yeah.
So.
That's interesting. Wow.
Valentine, Texas, yes.
You can drive through Valentine, and if you close your eyes, you won't see it.
Well, it was fast, driving my motorcycle and stuff like that, but, it was, little tears, my mom, wow, back in, you could maybe picture walking across the street or something. You know.
Yeah.
Valentine, Texas, yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. My mother's family comes from the Big Bend area. So, how many brothers and sisters do you all have?
So there's 5 boys, including me, and 1 sister. You know, Robert, the oldest, Raymond, Raul, su servidor Roy, Ricky, and Rosemary, the youngest, the girl. My father got lucky.
And so you were living in Odessa, and your father was working farming?
No, so we all moved. We were just always been a tight, super tight family. My dad would take us, you know, because my aunt, Lupe, called him one time, said, come to Hereford, you know, from Zaragoza. We went to Hereford.
Right.
And so my aunt was just always nice, trying to help my father. And got him a job there with Melvin May.
Yeah.
There in Hereford.
Yeah. Those are small farming communities.
Yeah. Up to Amarillo.
And did you grow up in speaking Spanish, or?
We speaking Spanish. Yeah, eventually, I know my mom, you know, she would talk English because sometimes she would, you know, during the first day of school, go to the teachers, talk to them in English, you know, say, make sure my kid, you know. So that's when I heard my mom talking English. So
you learned English in school?
Yes, sir. But it was Spanish at the house, yes.
So what was it like being, I guess, Hispanic farm workers in those days when you were a kid in those towns of Hereford?
So we lived out in the country, and so, you know, thank God my father always had us like motorcycles, you know, little mini bikes and motorcycles. So it was nice. We weren't in town. We were out in the country. The man that my father worked for supplied the house.
Wow.
You know, they gave you half a cow for Christmas, but it was out in the country. So we would play flag football in the dirt fields after they disced them, you know, with the Rodriguez family.
Wow.
We're still real close to those guys.
And then you went to high school in where?
So my high school was in Hereford. I came back. I was a junior. So during half my junior year, we moved back to Odessa.
Okay.
Half my junior year.
And in Odessa, you stayed with the farming work, or?
Also in Hereford, there was Nani Smith, you know, helped us in Odessa pot. There was un tío de Nani Smith, Alfred Smith, was the one that told my father, you know, I've talked to my nephew, take him this piece of paper so you can get a job there. So you won't look at your family. You guys are good, hard-working people, so take this paper. So I recommended my father to Nani from Hereford to Odessa. He was a neighbor. We all worked for him. You know, my oldest brother, Raul, myself, for Alfred Smith.
You were all working the farm.
Out in the country, yeah, farming, yes.
You did too.
A little bit, yes. You know, I was 16, 17 when I moved, so not much, but a little bit, yes.
Yeah, but your older brother did, and your older brothers. And so when you moved to Odessa, you didn't have the business yet.
No, sir.
And then how did that come about?
So that's when, you know, my father started working for Nani. And then, so after a couple of years, Nani sold. And that's when, you know, like I said, Nani said, start the business, Raymond. And I'm thinking in the way it looks that he pushed my father so he could get the business back one of these days when he bought. Because when we started it, he did buy his old business back. So
what was the business at that time?
Forklifts. We were just, well, actually, Mr. Galicia, we were just moving machines. That's how we got Permian Machinery. Just moving machines, metal cutting machines. There was a lot of machine shops making a lot of oil tools, you know, for the oil. So
big equipment. So you're basically moving big equipment.
Unloading, you know, moving in, setting in different shops, yes, sir.
And you had a shop in Odessa?
We eventually got a Quonset hut shop that my tío Sisto helped us build, my tío Chico, so. But my brother Robert was always, you know, trying to get ahead, you know, what do we do next? Because we were renting, or they let us borrow some space to keep our truck and our forklift, so.
So your father and your brother started the business?
Yes, sir.
And what was your brother Robert?
Yes, sir.
What were his strengths?
So he was going to college. He was going to be a CPA, you know. So So now that we start the business, the strength, the numbers, because he quit everything and then came on with my father.
And so then your other brothers moved into the business too?
Yes, eventually. I think my sister was in there also, Rosemary. Started with, initially with my father and my brother Robert.
And then when did you come into the business?
So I came into the business, maybe we would help a little bit. They did everything. We would help my other brothers too, Raymond and Raul and Ricky. After work, like Raymond was a post carrier, so after he would come over Saturdays, poquito lo que se podía.
Uh-huh.
But yes.
And you had other jobs before?
I was a machinist, making those machine tools that my father would move every once in a while, where I worked at Wellhead.
Oh, I see.
Con el Bert Vickers, so yes.
Okay, so you knew the machinery.
The cutting, yes.
Wow. And then so the business grew.
So, it's what we always work for, when you work for yourself. So my brother and my dad, grew the business. And so they said, hey, guys, we had a family meeting. And they said, guys, who wants to go to El Paso? There's an opportunity to go to El Paso. So I was going to barely raise my hand, but all my brothers and my sister was pointing at me already. So here I go, So
you were the chosen one.
Yeah, so, they were married and my sister, responsibilities, so.
And you were single? I
was single at the time.
What year was that?
87. 87.
And there was an opportunity here to start the business. So the business was already thriving when that happened, right?
Back in Odessa, getting in there, my brother Robert was barely finding out about the Japanese forklifts. That was out for us to buy equipment. We didn't have a dealership. We couldn't buy from Nissan or Komatsu or Toyota. So he met some nice guy, Richard Davis. And so then he met Michael Wallace to get these machines.
So these people helped you. You had a lot of help.
Yes.
And how did the financing come?
Financing was tough, like everything, because, like you said, we had the business going already in Odessa, so, climbing the steps, climbing the ladder slowly, but then now you gotta, hey, let's go to El Paso, so he told me, Roy, you gotta sell your Corvette, Roy, you gotta sell your Harley, and move in back with Mom for a little bit, save some money. And I said, yes, okay. So
you always had Corvettes and Harleys.
I've always loved my Corvettes and my Harleys. So.
And so what was it like, Odessa, being Hispanic, having a business? What was that like?
There was a lot of, I call them cowboys, but they were, eventually they got to be nice people. But estaba duro, because Odessa was split railroad tracks, and there was more businesses on the north side of the tracks, but it was hard, but, just treat our customers as good as we could, do the best job we could, maybe charge a little bit cheaper, than everybody else to get over to the other side. But it was a little bit tough, muchos güeritos.
What do you mean tough?
And tough because, like, they wouldn't give you these jobs, They would tell you, hey, you can't charge so much. It was hard to get in the door. Eventually, with the desire, the determination we had, kept on knocking. And, they knew my father because he had already moved some machines. But now that he started his own business, there were some other guys moving machine shops. So they would get priority, for the work. So
you had to fight for your place.
Just do the right thing, do the best job you could. So yes.
So you learned that early from your dad. So
estaba duro, yeah.
What was his message in those days?
Keep on working hard, don't give up, because we noticed it when we moved to Odessa. We were on the north side of the track. My mom, saved some money, and so we got to live on that side.
Oh,
But it was hard when I parked my car one time. That lady came and banged it a little bit, and so that was scary. And I'm glad my mom was outside, Alicia, because I would have, probably throwing rocks. But my mom said, go get your car from that side of the street and bring it over to our side. I parked it there because of the shade. You know?
So your neighbors didn't want you in the neighborhood? Is that what it was?
You know, Mexicanos, you know, in the neighborhood. But eventually, they were so nice. A couple of months, they were sending cakes. You know, they were taking my sister to Cokes, you know, and stuff like that.
But at first, they didn't want you there.
Estaba duro, Mr. Galicia.
So when you came to El Paso, what was it like?
Man, it was easy here in El Paso, Galicia. It was easy, mucho Mexicanos.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other people just were really nice.
So what did you start with here? Forklifts also?
We started with the forklifts. By then, so in Odessa, by the time I came here, we were into more rentals, you know, moving machines, but still renting machines. So
was it easy to grow in El Paso?
I guess at that time, back in '87, you know, the peso was strong, the dollar was strong, everything was so good. The yen, you know, that helped us a whole bunch of little things. There was no money, but you know, you worked, and here the money comes. You know, slowly. No tan fácil, but you know, it was.
So you have to buy these machines before you sell them. So how expensive are forklifts?
So back then, a forklift back then we were buying them for $16,000, a brand new one, which we didn't buy that many, Mr. Galicia. You know, we didn't have that much money, but Mr. Les Nelson up in Minnesota, my mom, my father, and my brother met him through Nani. You know, he would send us the forklifts.
He was a manufacturer? Or?
No, he was a Mitsubishi dealer.
Okay.
So back then, 16,000, you know, now they're cheap, but back then, estaban bien caritos.
Mm-hmm.
But then we were buying some from Japan through Mike Wallace.
Okay. And so you were able to get into the market by buying machines.
It's about, you know, the auctions. There was a lot of auctions also in Odessa back in those 86, 87. And there was a lot of bargains. You know, we wish we would have had more money. You know, it would have been way lots easier for us now, but we just went as we
So you actually grew your capital?
Yes, sir. Yes.
You didn't get capital from outside. You had to grow your own?
Back then, the banks no te prestaban. They wouldn't let you money, you know. The first time they did because Mr. Nani Smith, you know, co-signed, you know, for the money initially. But once you got going, you know, you need more money. No te prestan. What do you have? You know, little collateral, but.
So you had to build your own.
It was tough. Wow. And my brother, that's one thing, because, you know, I admire from my brother, debt-free, you know, and harder to grow the business, but not hard times come around, which he went through a couple, and so, you know, save your money. And
so you came to El Paso, started the business. How old were you when you started?
27, Mr. Galicia.
When you started in El Paso?
27, yes.
Did other brothers come with you, or?
My brother Ricky would come, not permanently, but, you know, when I have a big job. To me, it was a big one, moving Antec, you know, from one shop to the next. So he would come in. That job was nice, the biggest one we had. So it took about 2 months, Mr. Galicia, so that was a good one.
Moving heavy equipment.
Yes, sir. And that was, Antec was metal boxes, metal stamping. So we moved the big machines and set them up. So.
And San Antonio, when did that store open?
So we kept that San Antonio store maybe 12 years, Galicia. So.
Okay. And who ran that one?
Raymond, my Raymond Jr., my brother, second from the oldest.
And your sister, what role did she play?
My sister's always the money lady, always, you know, paying the bills, and receiving the checks.
And so all the family got involved, all your brothers and sisters got involved?
My sisters never had a job anywhere else.
Wow.
So, but yeah, eventually everybody came in the picture.
And you have children?
Monday?
You have children?
Mr. Alice, I have one boy, 33 years old, and I have 3 grandsons. One of them visits me quite a bit,
really?
Isaac, and the first one, Zavani, the last one, Elarni, but Isaac, the middle one. Grandpa, come pick me up. I want to go, and he's 13, so 14. So.
Wow, that's great.
But
that's
yeah.
neat. That's great. And so coming to El Paso, you know, at that time El Paso was growing. What kind of challenges did you face?
Challenges, barely starting the business. I said, just money, you know, trying to buy more equipment, having new customers and now needing more forklifts to rent. Mexican customers were coming over to buy, so my brother Robert ordering more from Japan. But
So your market was Mexico?
at one time, Mexico in El Paso, they were 50% of my business because we were selling a lot of forklifts, gracias a Dios, and then moving machines, also renting. So
when you talk about moving machines, what kind of machines are you talking about?
So in El Paso, there would be like the plastic injection molding machines, a little bit of metal cutting machines.
You'd move them here in El Paso, or would you take them across the border?
Just unload them. So we would do a lot of transloading, and we still do transloading there at my shop right now, at our shop.
What is transloading?
So the Mexican customer buys something from Dallas, Chicago, load it up on a truck, and comes to my shop, an American trailer. So we unloaded that machine and put it on a Mexican trailer. So the brokerage people get all the bonding, all the paperwork to cross it over. Right. That's transloading from one trailer to the next. Putting in your shop. 2 days later, they come with a Mexican truck.
So you've got a big shop.
We have two of them, 12,000 on one, 12,000 on the other square feet. So
wow.
The back one's used for more transloading.
And now how many forklifts do you, because you also repair forklifts, right?
Yes. So we repair, thank God the customer's always, needing help, always breaking down. So you always have work, fixing forklifts.
So how many forklifts do you have in stock now?
In El Paso, gracias a Dios, real close to 300. And so Odessa, they probably have about 700. So
really? And you rent those out?
A lot of them you sell. Most of them are rentals. But
wow.
I mean, some of them, it's because you buy them from different places and different capacities. So.
And they're different sizes, right?
Yes. So the different size. Our biggest is 35,000 pounds. My brother just bought us a 55,000 pounder. It's a big monster. It's a big monster. Well, even to haul them, está duro, but.
Who uses those machines?
So El Paso Electric, our competitors, they're not competitors, our friends, United Rentals, they'll rent those big ones from us. There's a lot going into Fort Bliss. So Fort Bliss rents us a lot. So sometimes we get this contract that needs these big forklifts in. And sometimes your other nice people get these contracts that need these big forklifts, so they'll re-rent them from us.
Okay, so you have a stock of big equipment that you rent out when it's needed.
We've been growing that capacity to 35. Ya tenemos bastante, but here lately we've been needing more and more. So my brother Robert even found another source, another dealer, another maker que, hoist.
Yeah.
So always buying forklifts, always needing forklifts. Gracias a Dios.
So you have other family working with you here?
My Ricardo, my younger brother, he's been with me, been helping us here last 20 years.
Wow. And what do you do? What is your job like?
My job now, Galicia, is real easy, real nice. My 2-hour lunches, 3-hour lunches. I hope my sister, my brothers, they'll eventually see this interview. But, sometimes it's hard because of decisions that you got to make, quick decisions, sometimes drastic decisions, employees, customers that, your foremen will come and ask you, hey, what do we do here? What do we do here? So, but for most part, it's real easy. The golfing, sometimes.
You get a chance to take a break.
Yes, nice little vacation,
and
more often,
And your brother Ricky, what does he do?
My brother Ricky's, he's in charge with the machinery moving. So he's always used to, with the big trucks, he used to be the driver. Now he still drives a little bit, but él es que se encarga, with the machinery moving, scheduling.
Are any children of your brothers and sisters, are they any involved in the business?
So my oldest brother had his daughters, because he only had daughters. So they're the one's in the business right now. The other one just left to college.
Okay.
Got married, and even, that couple.
Wow.
Samantha and Victor were working there.
So right now you have two stores, Odessa and El Paso.
Odessa and El Paso, 2 stores, yes.
And Odessa's the bigger one?
Odessa's the bigger one, and Mr. Galicia, they're fixing to, we're on the deal right now. We're expanding. We're making a bigger shop. We're just moving maybe 3/4 of a mile from our place that we've had for a long time. So
In Odessa, you got a bigger piece of land?
way lots bigger, yeah. I believe like maybe 10 acres.
Really?
And the shop, maybe, because he was adding, so it's just going to be one big building, 300 by 120. So
Gee.
it's going to be a big one.
Wow. Wow. And so El Paso, what is El Paso? You growing in El Paso still?
It's been always good, always in growing new customers, you know, hired salesmen. And so that's another thing that makes my job easy. Just, you know, you have your outside people, you know, getting more business. So yes, always growing.
You have outside salespeople.
There's a young man, I believe we had him on a picture, El Fed. We just hired Roman. So
you got a couple of salespeople out there.
But Fed's always been the go-getter. I've known him since he was working for somebody else. So nos ayudaba, you know, nos vendía. He would sell us scissor lifts. He would help me sell, you know, bobcats and things like that. So
not only forklifts, but you sell other kinds of equipment.
You know, my mom and my father back then said, guys, you know, now that you have a little bit of money, you can buy some other things, but don't buy forklifts because that's your brother's. But, you know, if you have money, buy bobcats, buy tierra, you know, buy land, buy something that you guys can make extra money on. So they have the mechanics, we have the trucks. So nos dio la bendición to buy different machines, bobcats, backhoes. Me and my brother Robert, and Raul a little bit, mainly my brother Robert, were the ones that buy most machines outside of the forklift.
And so how big a part of that of your business are those things?
It's a small one, you know, because you have to. The main thing is Permian, you know. You have my brothers. We have to take care of each other, so we always go 99% towards Permian, you know.
Okay.
A little bit on the side. Kind deals because my brother Robert, he just calls me up. Right, they're selling a bobcat over here, and you know, so we help each other, you know.
Mr. Chavez, you've been telling us that your father started the business in Odessa. And
Yes.
all your family, your brothers, and 5 brothers, is it?
And one sister.
5 brothers and 1 sister, all involved in the business.
Correct. Yes, sir.
And you started in Odessa. You opened up in El Paso in what year?
1987.
And you opened the store when you were 27.
27.
Wow. And then you had a store in San Antonio that you've recently sold.
Yes, sir.
So your mother and father were farm workers.
My father, you know, he worked in the gym también.
Yeah. And got into the business through a friend, a gentleman he worked for.
Danny Smith.
And you built a business. So your father, he recently passed?
Yes, January the 30th, so apenas
this
año.
year?
Yes, sir.
Wow. How old was your father?
So my father was 86.
86. He built, wow. And your mother?
She's still alive. She's, I go back home quite a bit, visit. She's 86, 87. And so she doesn't get around too good anymore. But my brother Robert and my sister, they have her, some people can le ayuden. They're at her house.
And they live there in Odessa?
Yes, sir.
That's brother and sister. And then your other brothers?
So Raul también está en Odessa. He's there in Odessa also. And then Raymond, since we sold that store in San Antonio, decided to go and retire.
Okay.
And just me and my other brother Ricky, aquí en El Paso.
So your business is primarily, as you were sharing, forklifts.
Yes.
So what is it you do with forklifts?
So we just use them to rent them. Our main business is rentals, and then machinery moving, transloading also. So main thing, rentals. Selling también, because we have hoist, we have the makes. So Komatsu, good forklifts. Unit carriers, which used to be Nissan, but they merged with Caterpillar and Mitsubishi. So our make is a unit carrier.
Okay. And those are and other equipment as well.
Yes, sir. Different kinds, because there's some sky tracks. And those, Mr. Galicia, they're booms. So they'll put, I don't know if you've seen them, they put material up on the roofs.
Yeah.
It's been real popular this last, maybe the last 20, 25 years, because all you would see was just forks up and down, the regular forklift. But now you see more and more of those booms, just different kinds of equipment coming up with
big
them.
heavy equipment?
Yes, sir.
Expensive equipment?
Tan más y más caros, yes, sir.
And you sell those?
We rent those and we sell them también, yes, sir.
Okay. So in stock now, how many pieces of equipment do you have? My gosh.
Aquí con El Paso, we have 300, rented all over. We were picking one up ahorita, band horns, so, and then my brother will rent like the Presidio and stuff like that, but yeah, so
Wow.
just rentals, that's our main one.
Wow. And you also repair and paint and do all of that?
Yeah, we have a couple, so here lately, there's a young man named Chris. He's always been a real good mechanic. So not that often, but he got 4 transmissions we're fixing, and
Wow.
he takes off these little pieces, it puts everything back together, and amazing, but
You've got a big
that's what
shop
we do.
here. How
You're there
big
at
is
the
your shop here?
Monday?
How big is your shop here?
So the main shop is 12,000 square feet where I work. And then we have another one in the back for storage and unloading and transloading.
And you have 22 people working here?
Yes, sir. So, and also we got into the pallet racking business también. So we had to, I don't know if I got a picture on the deal.
What is that?
So the pallet racks is inside the big warehouses, Amazon, anybody else around here that has the big warehouses where you put your pallets.
Mm-hmm.
You go in a warehouse, you see pallets all over.
Right.
So the blue uprights, the orange beams, the gray wire decks where you put your pallets, we also sell that also.
Oh, I see. The racks.
Selling that, yes.
Oh, I see. Okay. And so what, did COVID bring any challenges?
Wow, Mr. Yes. From scary to adjusting. It was a lot of things going on, with the COVID, and after COVID, también has been tough.
What kinds of issues?
Higher, with the help that you need, the availability of equipment, more expensive since COVID, harder to come by, even the used equipment. And then going back to, the hired help that, hard to get,
And you have to have trained people.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we were just training. He drove for a nice man down the street in Royal Jones, so, driving because he was tired of going out of town. So we just hired El Edwin. So they're used to driving, but they're not used to tying down, or different machines. So yes, you got to train them, Mr. Galicia, yes.
Okay, so when they load, they have to tie down that heavy equipment.
And always, thank you for helping us. Double check your chains, when you boom them down. So try to little help them. También, less accidents and things like that.
So you had a big order this year?
Mr. Alex, I sure did. We had 45 units.
45 forklifts?
Yes, sir, that we ordered. Fed, that nice sales guy, the best sales guy we've ever had that order. EPCC Logistics.
Uh-huh.
So really nice people, customers. So.
Yeah, Mr. Saavedra.
That was a nice big order. The biggest one we've had yet.
Mr. Saavedra, we interviewed him. He's a good man. That's great.
Yes.
And so, what kind of challenges are you facing today?
Challenges is needing equipment, not that many available. The pricing, growing pains también, because throughout this pandemic, our business, we gained 25% more. And so at first we were lucky, Mr. Galicia, because we had 45 brand new units in my back building. So that helped Permian, that helped us so. But now the challenge is, the pricing, the availability of equipment. So that's the biggest one.
Financing, how do you manage your financing?
So gracias a Dios, my sister's always done a great job, always saved money and saved for a rainy day. And And now, gracias a Dios, that we need a little bit of financing. So our unit carrier people, they'll do a lot of financing, like just 45 pieces of, units, to pay them right quick. So they'll handle
So they'll finance you.
the financing, and then you deliver, and then you charge them, and then you pay them, and you keep a little bit of your profit. So it's easier, the financing easier now.
Now that you're big.
Yeah, and then my brother Robert, a little bit bigger. But now my brother también, with all kinds of boards in Odessa. I remember walking into a bank, Mr. Galicia, and seeing my brother's, face right there on the wall, So
Really?
that was a nice. It was on the board. So
Oh, he's on board in a bank in Odessa.
I haven't been in that bank here lately, but his picture was there.
Oh,
It was
that's
so
neat.
nice. I was so proud,
So you guys are pretty well known now and pretty big in the field of heavy equipment and wow.
Yes.
And so, what is it like to have a family business, to be part of a family business?
Man, it's working with your brothers and my sister. Back then my father. It's just I wouldn't do anything else. It was because we've always been close, and I think this business brought us closer because my mom. My mom. I know, and I know that's why we've always been close. So, even when we were young, una tortilla, you can't just grab it, Mr. Galicia. Hey, tus hermanos, don't grab it. Get a little piece, put the rest back. Share. So we've always been tight, united. And
Your father, what was he like?
my father was so cool, so nice. He always made sure, that we had our mini bikes when we were young, our motorcycles. I remember going out of town. At one time I didn't have a job. My father, he said, "Hey, Roge, got any money? I know you're going out of town." "Yeah, Dad, I got a little bit of money." We didn't have that much money back then, but he gets a $100 bill and gives it to me. Here I go, buying a leather jacket, because it was a little bit cold, so I didn't have one. So he was always nice, always caring, always took care of my mom, always, family guy. Bring the check home, I tap it el chequecito, every week. So made sure my mom always had nice cars. He was a number one guy.
Are there issues with family business that you don't face, that you don't think other businesses have to face?
Talking with my other friends, Mr. Galicia, always issues, always misunderstandings. They want to go different routes or they don't come to an agreement. But with us, Robert was the leader. He's always, told us, guys, we've always looked up to him. He's a really, nice Christian man. So we've always been bonded, always worked together. On us, for challenges, I think if I got mad at my brother one time, 5 minutes and Punk, it was over. But he never knew about it, though.
So really, your father and your older brothers started the business.
Yes,
And
Robert.
And then you at 27 came and started the El Paso store.
Yes, sir.
And what is growth like for you now? What's next?
My goal is, keep doing the right thing, keep working. Maybe buying a ranch, for hunting, just recreation. But for the business, just keep growing it and keep making sure the people that we have, are comfortable. The customers get, satisfied, and just keep doing the right thing. What I've been doing, maybe a little bit nicer. I just keep working at it,
How did you learn to grow the business?
That's another good one. Always dedication, desire, keep trying to do the right thing, your customers, keep them happy, customer satisfaction, repeat customers. So
How'd you learn that?
Pues it comes from the heart, I guess, or, también, I remember having some other patrones, other, bosses when I used to work for, at the machine shop, Eddie Ganzenari and them, Fox. They were nice, They treated the people nice, and I'd see my brother Robert, how he would treat customers when they walk in. But So that stays with you, and you practice it when different situations, because different customers have different, they tell you different things, different needs. So you just try to help them. But I think looking at other people and trying to do the right thing.
Well, if a customer gets upset with you, how do you deal with that?
Oh, yeah. Always 99%, Mr. Galicia, the customer's always right. So, pues le llegas, and he's not going to pay, and okay, we did something wrong, and wait a minute, Mr. Customer, so shoot it back at him. You're going to fix it, and I'm going to fix it. If I don't, then don't pay me. But if I fix it, hey, you got to pay me, boss. You get one way or another. It's psychology, so.
Have you lost some of those battles?
I have. You can't win them all. But sometimes you can't, you just want to let them go. Not that many. I don't have too many fingers in one hand that happened. So, 2, maybe 3 that.
Really?
You just, sometimes there ain't no way out, and, la bendición, and let's go forward, count your blessings.
Now, you're expanding your location here in El Paso. Your address is where?
My address is 9270 Gateway East, right in between Zaragoza and Americas on the Gateway.
And you're expanding that, or?
We just we just bought an extra bought an extra acre, so I could have some driveway and have, more showcase up in the front, because we have the gateway, so took advantage of that. More forklifts up there whenever I can get them.
Yeah. And you're expanding that. Have you had any difficulty in growing that? And
I don't know if I should say it, Mr. Garcia, but I'm going to throw a little bit at you. Whenever you're, nowadays, it seems like it's easier because you have a little bit more money, but sometimes, these inspectors downtown make it hard on you, especially, I don't know, because my friends have told me, otros chicanitos, but inspectors always not giving you the permits, to go forward. So we can pay more taxes and make more money easier, but a little bit, the inspectors downtown.
The city inspectors.
They made it, not too easy. I don't know if I should say it, but there you go, Well, they don't come banging on my door.
You have to face those challenges because you're expanding and you want to expand your territory, and they're giving you a little hard time.
Well, yeah, you grow bigger, you hire more people, you try to make things better for El Paso, and sometimes they bajan pa abajo, with those little inspections, not little, big inspections, because, you want to open your doors and let's go, and so they take more time, make your, it's harder, to move in your nice shop that you're ready to go in, and so it was a little challenging.
Until
one.
You get all your permits.
Yes.
But El Paso's been good to you, but you've been good to El Paso. Have you been involved a lot in El Paso organizations?
When I walked through the building, I saw the Flag Foundation. We used to donate, our bobcats or forklifts, for them to work around. There's Pastor Heimer that we look up to him and we invite him for lunches or breakfast. Pastor Heimer.
Uh-huh.
He has a Lutheran church. We've tried to help him as much as we can. Forklift and he comes over to the shop and makes a prayer. A nice big blessing.
That's great.
Breakfast, lunch, whatever we have, we invite him. So.
That's nice. That's nice.
And a lot of young people, golf tournaments, that you donate. Yesterday, it was a young lady, one of our workers, selling coupons for donations. But, even that, I was thinking, man, they don't walk around, they don't come. The fathers are the ones getting all the donations. So good for those young, students and things. But
yeah, but you like motorcycles and Corvettes.
Young Gustavo from a long time, Mr. Galicia. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You take long road trips?
Me and my brother Raul and our best friend Oscar take a nice long trip every year on our motorcycles.
Wow.
And
what's a long trip?
So we've been up to Kentucky, we've been up to Louisiana, a lot to Colorado. We used to haul them, but now we used to put them on a trailer and we drive them from the garage out.
Really?
We're older and we should haul them, but.
So you go to the big event in Kentucky, the big Harley event?
There's a Sturgis event, that's a crazy one. Daytona, another crazy one, but we're getting old. We don't go to those. We just drive, 200 miles, and then we just get a motel, and 300 miles we drive.
So where did you learn to work hard?
I think my brothers and my dad have always worked harder than me. I think I've always been the one that worked the less. But my father and my brothers, they just always seemed like, when we first started, everybody picking boards, getting the chain, pulling machines, getting on the forklift. But I guess my father and my grandfather, his father, my grandpa's uncles, working. Look at them, and so you gotta.
Did you know your grandfather?
Mi abuelito Juan and mi abuelito Francisco. My grandfather Juan from my father, and my mom's abuelito Francisco.
You knew them, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And what were their names? Last names?
Chavez and Martinez.
Your mother's Martinez.
Martinez.
Wow, that's exciting. And so so now what's the next step for the Chavez family?
So the next step, keep on working, making bigger shops, buying newer, bigger equipment, getting more technical on their inventory, for your computers and things, hiring higher tech guys that keep track of your equipment. So building bigger shops,
So it's always growing, always learning?
Everything's, even for instance, Galicia, like a forklift now, you can't just put a wrench and fix it. Yeah, you put a scanner and that'll tell you, what's wrong with the forklift. So everything's changing, yes, sir.
So it's all electronic now?
Yes, sir.
Stuff?
So.
Wow. And you have, how many mechanics do you have working on those things?
So here we have 12. We got 12 mechanics.
12 mechanics.
And so back in Odessa, we got a lot of them.
So this is a lot bigger. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So you repair those things?
Yes. They'll tell you that some resistor, a sensor is wrong, so you just replace it, and then you got to zero out the code. I don't do it, but those people, the techs do.
So you have a parts department too?
So we're making our parts department, a little bit bigger. Always making room, always room. More parts. So yes.
And you do some other things, some other businesses related? Do you do other
related, like for different parts, for different kinds of forklifts that are not, our make, the Komatsus and the Unicarios, always having different parts for those other kind also. And so people approach you now. Roy, sell us these parts, buy us these parts, and we'll give you. TVH is a big one. A lot of forklift companies here, they'll buy from those people, but makes it easier because they have everything from a new forklift to even the old ones. So,
let me ask you a crazy question. Do you learn from your mistakes?
Yeah, like anybody else. Yeah, you don't want to walk that road, and you already walked, and it was muddy or ugly, or so you gotta. Yes,
how do you learn from your mistakes?
Well, you just, like for instance, that customer that was mean, just keep away or keep a close tab, charge him. Que te pague ahora con una credit card, no more credit. When you're buying machines, look a little bit deeper, on the details for the information, because everything it used to be easy. A handshake was it, but now it's harder when you're buying equipment now. So
tell me about that. What is that? That's interesting.
About the what now?
Yeah, it's harder now. What do you mean?
Buying equipment, because there's not that many available, so everybody's trying to sell them. There's a lot of auctions, a lot of internet auctions now. And so that's where you look at the detail, you get the different pictures, but it's hard because the forklifts, the machines you're buying, they paint a pretty picture, but when you get to your shop, it's tough. Something else is wrong with it,
So you buy equipment online. How in the world do you do that?
There's a lot of auctions, and throughout the states, which, they just auctions online, number one. Number two, the leasing companies, the banks, Wells Fargo's one big one, the Lagland's another one that they offer you equipment. So, and then a lot of trade-in, not a lot of trade-ins because there's not that many right now, but people that are buying the newer ones, want to trade in their older ones. So.
But you can buy equipment that you haven't seen.
It's tough. It's tough because, like those auctions, they just paint a pretty picture, but used to, 3 years back, it was nice. They detailed it. They showed you pictures. They gave you some kind of, they gave you warranty. And so now, they'll show you they'll give you warranty on some items. But in our other equipment that we buy, minimal now, from Japan, that was one of the things that we, back a couple of years back, 20, 30 years back, we used to buy a lot of forklifts from Japan. And so now we used to get containers once a week.
Really?
Maybe 2 a week. Now, to do the pandemic this way, we've received maybe 2 or 3.
How many machines can fit in a container?
So it depends on a 20-footer or a 40-footer. So if a 20, they'll load up 5. Those Japanese can pack, 5 smaller 3,000-pounders. So on the 40-foot containers, they'll put, some 6,000-pound capacities, some 8. So maybe también because of the weight. So you can only put 40,000. So it depends how many. On the smaller one, container 5. The bigger one.
And you pay for the shipping when you buy those?
Now we're having to pay for shipping because the Japanese we're having problems getting numbers, deliver them to your docks. So now we're paying, yes.
So things are going up.
Yes, sure, the freight. So, and then it changed because that last 2-3 loads, they had to unload them in California. So that extra expense, so drive the price a little bit higher.
You had to ship them from California to here.
From Japan to California, and they would used to on the railroad, and then deliver them to our shop from Santa Teresa. But now unload them in California, otro gasto, extra expense.
So you had to pick them up in California.
Hire another truck guy to pick them up, yes.
Wow. So how do you survive in higher prices like that? My gosh. I guess
you adjust, and I hate to pass it on to the customer, but here you go. And like the other day, a forklift that we used to, a brand new one, we used to sell for $28,000. We sold it for $40,000, and
wow.
Tough.
So what message from your mother still lives in the business?
The message with my mom, todavía, the hard work, dedication, the respect, the love, the whole bunch of love todavía within the family that my mom instills in us. So,
how important is that?
For us, we're brothers, and I guess because our uncles también always respectful and everything. So, trying to show it to my grandsons now and my sons. So, stand up when somebody shakes your hand, and sí, señor, no, señor.
So the handshake is still important to you?
Yes, a handshake, I'll make a deal with you because I know you a little bit better now, but handshake, I'll make a deal with you. I don't need a piece of paper. Not that often, but handshake will get a deal.
But otherwise, it's got to be the contract.
Well, está duro, trusting in everybody, but you do have to trust a lot of people, so.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Chavez, I really enjoyed the story of Permian Machinery and Movers. That's a tremendous story, family business, and you've done a lot for El Paso, and I'm sure El Paso's done good for you, but I appreciate your story very much and wish you great fortune and great writing, and thank you so much for sharing your story, Mr. Chavez. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Appreciate you watching. Have a good day, and stay tuned for more from Hispanic Biz Success Stories.